really hard for micro brands to come up with original designs. Today we're going to take a look at a watch that has an original way of displaying the date. It's MMI. Now, I've featured many MMI here on my channel, and they keep on improving the way that they display the dates on their watches. They keep on improving their watches in general. So today is one of their best watches to date. It gets an upgraded movement and an upgraded dial. So let's flip the camera and take a look at the new MMI Sky Hunter. So here it is. This is the Sky Hunter from MMI. I've featured a few of their watches here on my channel. This is actually called the Sky Hunter 38. That's because this is a 38mm watch. Before we get into it, I just want to mention that my hands are pretty beat up. My son was in a pretty bad accident where he was attacked by a dog, and I basically ripped the dog off of him and fought the dog to get him off my son. My son went through surgery and he is doing fine, and his arm will be fine. It did break, however, he will be fine. He's only 4 years old, so he doesn't really understand everything that has happened to him. So it's been pretty traumatic here. That's why I haven't posted in a few days. Usually I have a lot of videos in the chamber, so those were being released while all of this was happening. Anyway, I'm back to work and I'm back here. So thank you for all of your support out there. I, of course, appreciate you guys. So just want to let you know so you don't think I have some crazy beat up hands. So as I mentioned, the Sky Hunter 38. Now MMI do something very different with the date on all of their watches. In the center of the dial, you see a little track. That track is the date. Then there is a little orange portion that lets you know what the date is. They do this with all of their watches. They made a chronograph that had this same date system. However, I think this is the most legible version of this date system that I have seen thus far. Now, this is a prototype. They said that the blue dial on here will be a little bit lighter. And you also have a little bit of a patinaed lume in the indices that are painted on. So you have sort of a patinaed lume, and then there's a slightly lighter lume in the hands. The hands are fence post hands, and then you have an arrow second hand right there. The blue one here I actually really like, but they say that they're going to actually lighten it up a little bit. I think it looks really good as is, but I think it would look good a little bit lighter as well. There is a chapter ring that sort of has a metallic edge to it, so I think it's just a layer of the dial with an edge, which looks really good as well. You have the MMI logo right there, and usually they lume the date so that you could see that little date, I guess, aperture at night, but really not very useful because you won't be able to see the date numbers, so you won't be able to see the date at night. Usually, though, they do lume their watches pretty well. Now, something different about this watch is that they are using the Miyota 9000 series now in this watch. So this is getting a Miyota 9015, so 9015, excuse me. So when you check out the thickness on here, it is only 10.5 millimeters thick. That's because they are now using a thinner movement and somewhat of a higher end movement when compared to the NH products that they were using before, the NH35. You also get a lume crown that is screwed in, and like I said, you do get 100 meters of water resistance. This is a 38mm watch, basically spot on. You do have male end links. The lug to lug on here is 45.6, but including those male end links, 51.4, and then the large crown is 6.4 millimeters. The bracelet is an oyster style bracelet. It is all brushed. You have push pins holding the links together, and then of course you have somewhat of a generic micro brand buckle. It is signed with the MMI logo. I would like to see some micro adjust or on the fly micro adjust on this buckle. You do get 5 positions of manual micro adjust, so you will be able to get a pretty good fit for your wrist. On the back of the case, there is a jet, and it is screwed in, of course, and like I said, 100 meters of water resistance. It also tells you that you get a Miyota 9000 series. This is a limited edition as well. I think it's a limited edition of 200, I want to say, but if I'm wrong, I will put that down in the description below. You get milled end links, and then of course the buckle, which is sort of generic, is also milled. I believe this part might be pressed, but other than that, everything is nice. So a very good looking watch at a very good price. This is $327 on their pre-order. So if you are interested in this watch, you're getting a really nice watch with an interesting way of telling the date. Now, it's not incredibly legible, so you have to be okay with that. I really like it because I don't like seeing the date. I've always been like that. So this actually works really, really well for me. Let me throw it on my wrist very quickly, and then we will do a quick Lume shot. Today I have on the Citizen ProMaster Dive in Super Titanium, a watch that I absolutely love. I really fell in love with this watch, and I will have one in my collection. So very quickly, let me throw the MMI on my 7.5 inch wrist. Now this is not fitted for my wrist. However, let me just throw it on. Like I said, this is a prototype. They're going to change the color of the dial, but that's about it. That little metal ring, or I guess edge of the dial, or the chapter ring, looks really good. I like it. You can see it sort of, gives you a little bit of fleck when you move it around. I like it. It looks good. There you go. On my 7.5 inch wrist, a 38 millimeter watch with like a 50 millimeter lug width, 51 millimeters if you're including the male end links. It's like 48 millimeters, somewhere around there at the case itself. So, or 46 millimeters and change. I think it was almost 47. So, very good looking watch and really nicely made. They make very nice watches and they don't charge a lot of money for them. So, if you get this on the early bird, for $327, really, you can't go wrong, especially now that they've upgraded to the Miyota 9000 series. They haven't really upped the price very much at all, so pretty cool. So very quickly, a Lume shot, then we'll wrap up the video. So I was genuinely unaware that this was a fully Lume dial, and you can tell the date in the dark. It's a little bit hard. You do have to look really closely at the dial. It's the 13th on the dial right now. That's not the actual date, but you can see it because it's entirely Lume. So there's a little negative area where that 13 is. So you could look very closely and you'll be able to see it. But it is very, very lumed. I wonder if it's going to be this lumed if they make the dial a little bit lighter. I assume so, because they could just add more lume to it, or just make the dial color a little bit less blue and it'll be just as lumed as this. Very, very bright. Really looks good. And you could read the date in the dark. I believe there's even lume in the hands, but it sort of gets drowned out by the extremely bright dial. And then you, of course, have the logo that is lumed on the crown. Excellent, excellent job with Lume. Of course, I always say this, Lume is very expensive. Lume is not cheap. And the fact that this costs $325, $327, whatever the number is, that is pretty impressive that you're getting this much Lume. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of this watch? What do you think of the Sky Hunter? What do you think of MMI and the way that they display the date? I know some people will not like this because it is a little bit difficult to read the date, and some people will love it because it adds symmetry to a dial that has a date and it doesn't really mess up the balance or create like a little window or something like that. It gives you a little, track that has the date in there. It's pretty cool. I really like it. And that little orange portion right there is lumed. Again, very hard to see. In person, it's a little bit easier to see, but that's really it. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. Please also don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Please follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is WatchChrisBlog, all one word. I have some links in the description. Those links are to Amazon. If you click those links and buy anything, it helps support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra. However, I very much appreciate it. Anyway, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.